it may require number of views, shares, hours. Please educate us. How do they monetize that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, let me just share some of the requirements for the YouTube Partnership Program. So, number one, definitely the first is to follow the YouTube channel monetization policies. Some of it I've provided. In terms of technical eligibility, so the requirement is, number one, get 1,000 subscribers with 4,000 valid public watch hours in the last 12 months. So again, 1,000 subscribers with 4,000 valid public watch hours in the last 12 months.
Oh, wait, question. So, assuming I put up my own YouTube channel, is that what you call it?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
And then I must have, what, 1,000 subscribers?
That's the first step.
And 4,000 hours of?
4,000 valid public watch hours. And when we say this, Mr. Chair, kasi for example, if your watch hours are bots, then that would not be a valid public watch hour. If you're trying to game the system,
would you be able to determine whether these are bots or not?
So YouTube would have the necessary technical capabilities.
So you have that technical capability.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ang tanong, next question, ano naman ang accountability, halimbawa, ng YouTube? Assuming that your channel is being used as a purveyor of fake news, and then you discovered that merong anong accountability ng platform?
So, Mr. Chair, again, I guess depends on the jurisdiction that would be concerned. So, for example, Mr. Chair, if of course, Mr. Chair, it would be different if the channel is in the United States versus in Singapore, for example, which has POFMA, as discussed in the previous hearing. So, Mr. Chair, depends on the laws in the jurisdiction of the channel concerned.
And it's as if you're saying that we're helpless in trying to impose accountability to the platform kapag ka ito ay abroad, no?
No, Mr. Chair, no naman. I'll give an example, Mr. Chair. The Philippines passed a law against OSAIC, expanded OSAIC law. And on the expanded OSAIC law, there are specific platform obligations on that law. And so in that specific expanded OSAIC law, it imposes liability and accountability on the platforms that could host OSAIC content.
Okay. For those companies that advertise sa YouTube, no, do they pay you? Do they pay YouTube?
They pay YouTube, the platform operator. Yes, yes,
so they
Mr.
do.
Chair. Yes,
so
Mr.
assuming a company of Congressman Marcoleta advertises in your platform, they should pay you. They must pay you.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And do you pay taxes for that?
So Google as a company, so of course the mother company, Google LLC. So every Google entity pays the proper taxes in the jurisdiction where it operates.
So in that case, you're paying taxes to the BIR.
For every Google entity, it pays the taxes, the correct legal taxes in the country. So for the Philippines,
yes or no?
Yes,
Yes, you're paying. So you have records of tax payments to our BIR.
Yes.
Okay. BIR, is that true? Can you monitor how many ads that the platform actually gains? BIR? Parang kayo mismo, hindi nyo alam eh.
Wala.
Ano ba naman?
Hindi ko alam yung circular eh.
Ayan, use the mic beside you.
Mr. Chair, yes, Mr. Chair, insofar as the ad revenue specifically,
So you monitor how many ads, magkanong payments nila, and you have that record sa BIR.
no, Mr. Chair, unfortunately.
Paano yun? Yes, sige, attorney. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, so Google, the entities in the Philippines, Google Philippines, and other entities in the Philippines, they do not own nor operate the YouTube platform. And so that's why the taxes that we pay to the BIR are the ones only proper to the local entities, so not the advertising. So the advertising is done not by the platform is not operated by the local entity.
But you make money out of the ads that are being shown in the channel, right? Sa platform nyo.
Google LLC does.
Yes. Just my example is that when, let's say, the company of Congressman Marcoleta magkaroon ng ads sa inyo, he has to pay you.
Mr. Chair, not Google Philippines, not Google Philippines.
So who does he pay to?
Mr. Chair, that's a very legitimate area of inquiry, but that's a different matter altogether.
No, Mr. Chair, with
We're
all
about
due
to
respect to
discuss
my
abusive platforms.
with all due respect to my senator, Mr. Chair, the reason why I asked that, this is a relevant issue because we are contemplating on maybe perhaps asking all the social media platforms to secure a franchise in this Congress, because we want to make sure that it's not just the platforms who make money, but also the Philippine government. That's one. Number two, if you are under the franchise of this government, then you will toe the line. Sorry, I do not mean toe the line, meaning you will be subject to the regulations and then the rules that will be imposed under this law. And I think, I'm pretty sure that no less than our Senator Marcoleta would be more than willing to author that kind of a law. Mr. Chairman.
No. Before we proceed further, please allow the chair to recognize the presence online of the following members of the committee: the Honorable Celso Regencia, the Honorable Jordan Jesus Romualdo, and the Honorable Francisco Paulo Ortega. Yes, Chairman Joboy, your
just a quick interjection, just very germane to the question of
with the induction of the Honorable
Chairman Joboy.
Yes, please
Yes, I'd
proceed.
like to ask you to, before we move on to another topic, I'd like to ask, do you have an arrangement with other platforms insofar as maintaining your guidelines and standard of that standard where you remove violative or abusive or harmful contents, no, with other platforms? Do you have that mechanism? I mean, that arrangement?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Depending on the type of content, I'll give an example. There are some, for example, for OSAEC, or what internationally is known as CSAM. There is technology sharing wherein if one platform already detects that a piece of content is CSAM, the hash of that is shared among the technology coalition. So there are coordination for particular types of illegal content.
Okay, so halimbawa lang, do you have also a uniform or universal agreement where, say for example, YouTube, kasi there are also contents uploaded on TikTok and on Facebook that can also be uploaded on YouTube. So say for example, if the content is uploaded on TikTok, tapos meron silang, you have also a shared mechanism agreement with the TikTok, and in-upload doon, certain guidelines from your company may not necessarily be applied to the different companies that you have an arrangement of sharing technology, sharing information with. So, paano nyo na-derive out, and how do you maintain, for example, that standard of guidelines na pag yung something that is not accepted on YouTube may not necessarily be the same with TikTok, tapos in-upload sa TikTok, tapos pupunta sa, pwede niya i-upload sa YouTube. Paano po yung ganong Kasi that would also generate monetization, di ba? And that would also spell out how you would really police your own community, no? Na hindi siya maging violative doon sa mismong standard na gusto nyong i-uphold, no? I-maintain.
Mr. Chair, so every platform would have its own community guidelines.
Yes.
So every platform would have its own rules.
Yes, I understand that, but how do you strike, for example, the balance between a common understanding that this kind of content, whether it's uploaded on TikTok, and therefore pwede mag-appear sa YouTube kasi mayroon kayong arrangement ng share of information, cannot also be a violative of your own standard ng pag-maintain ng healthy content at hindi siya abusive. How do you strike that balance? How do you maintain that kind of ethical standard, if we may use the term, no, in your own community?
So as Mr. Chair has mentioned, there are certain types of content where that is possible, and that I would say CSAM/OSAEC is where
But
that
do you
is
have that
possible.
kind of mechanism where TikTok, if it's posted uploaded on TikTok, tapos pag i-upload sa YouTube, halimbawa, or i-share sa YouTube, violative na from the very start yung content, hindi nyo ipapakita. Do you have that kind of mechanism right now?
So, Mr. Chair, as mentioned, not for all types of content, not for all violations. Specifically, technical coordination like that happens for CSAM/OSAEC. But for example, if it's policies as to vulgarity, for example, vulgarity, there's no
Wala, no?
technical coordination happening between the platforms with their own independent community guidelines.
Thank you. Kasi ganun po yung nangyayari eh. Hindi lang ho sa YouTube, minsan na-upload sa ibang platforms, tapos nag-appear sa ibang channels. So, sometimes, kung ano yung hindi po pwede sa kanila, tapos po pwede dun sa kabila, dun natin malalaman kung talagang napupulis ba yung kanilang ranks para hindi po violative sa kanilang community at hindi magamit ito na loophole para bawal sa'yo, dito ko nila upload since meron silang arrangement, meron silang mag-appear din sa kabilang channel. So wala kayong ganon, no? Wala po. No? Just on record.
Mr. Chair,
Wala.
not for all types of
Okay.
content.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Joboy Aquino is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Gonzalez, can you, on Google, no, something like broadcast, di ba? It broadcasts through sa mga, even sa cellphone, different, anything that you ask, nilalabas, no? So, ano ko lang is, dito sa Philippines, lumalabas yung sa Google. So, you have partners or Google Philippines. Diba? Is it true? There's Google Philippines. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Google Philippines, a member of the KBP.
Mr. Chair, I do not think so, Mr. Chair. I do not believe so.
Or Google Philippines is a member of MTRCB.
Mr. Chair, we coordinate and we work closely with the MTRCB on certain issues facing the Philippines. But I don't think there's a membership for the MTRCB, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. How about, do we have KBP? I believe we have KBP here. Yeah, Attorney Jula. Member po ba ang Google?
Good morning, Your Honor. Google is not a member of the KBP. It's not a broadcast network.
Yeah, when you say broadcast, what's the difference ng broadcast dito sa radio station and dito sa Google?
In the case of radio stations and television, we make use of the frequencies, radio frequencies to transmit our content. Whereas in Google, they use IP platforms.
Yes, but may broadcast din. No?
In a loose sense, yes, but it's more.
See? Yun ang malaking nga doon diferensya. No? There's broadcast and there's viewing at the same time. Diba? That's why ang MTRCB. Now, how would being the arm of the government, no, ang MTRCB, paano natin maano yan ngayon na may broadcast and viewing, no, the same time dyan sa Google, no? What can you say about that, attorney. Kasi ang MTRCB, ito yung mga noon pa nagawa tong MTRCB. No? Wala pa tong mga Google sa cellphone, no? Hindi pa nababago. Hindi pa na-update ng MTRCB. No, I think the MTRCB and the KBP should update, no, ang mga regulations to help the government. Kasi how would we control now?
That's
Kasi hindi
because,
sila member.
Mr. Chair, that's because technology is so fast and our regulatory agencies cannot cope up. That's the problem.
Well, at least, gawin nilang trabaho nila. We have to do it. Binabayaran ng gobyerno. Gumagastos ang gobyerno. Di ba? So, we call on MTRCB and KBP na i-update po. No? Humabol tayo. Hindi tayo pwedeng nakaupo lang. No? Just like us here, even we're on vacation, we're here to listen para ma-update din natin, makahabol tayo sa mga nangyayari. Oh, I hope makuha niyo yung sinasabi ko.
Yes, Your Honor. We understand the point, but there is really a wide difference between broadcast of television and radio and the use of internet protocol as a means of transmission. In fact, it's more properly netcasting than broadcasting.
Attorney, at the end of the day, itong lahat ang importante kay Google, kay kung sino pa man, basta nag-broadcast viewing, the end of the day, for me, it should be healthy public information. Very simple. But it seems napabayaan na rin ng gobyerno, ng agency ng gobyerno na dapat sila ang mag-regulate. Very simple to understand. Oh?
Mr. Chair, KBP is not a government agency, and membership in the KBP is voluntary. And we have, while we affiliate with content creators, it is not in the context of membership, but affiliation in the sense that we try to get content creators to adopt the standards as well as the guidelines of the KBP in content creation. Because we have members that also use internet and social media as a means of expanding the reach. And we require them to follow the same ethical standards in their broadcast if they extend the reach through internet protocol platforms.
Anyway,
Yes, please proceed.
Anyway, yun lang po ang akin, no? Again, we cannot be just staying there. We should improve, no? Sayang ho yung ano natin, mga resources, the government. Well, KBP should improve also. Nag-i-improve yung broadcasting. Since ang KBP is part of that broadcasting, so as MTRCB, they should it also has to improve. Hindi ho pwedeng doon na lang tayo sa hanggang dyan na lang while yung broadcasting nag-i-improve. Ang KBP dapat mag-improve. Alam niyo yan eh.
Yes, the Honorable Manuel is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have some questions, representative ng Google Philippines. Mr. Chair, kapag merong content sa YouTube na nireport ng ating mga kababayan dahil tingin nila ay naglalaman ito ng disinformation or misleading na content, ano ang proseso na pinagdadaanan bago makapag-decide ang Google Philippines or yung mga nasa YouTube na ito ay i-take down or hayaan lang na nasa platform pa rin yung content? Thank you, Mr. Chair. So kapag meron pong nireport yung, let's say, Filipino user po, so unang-una po ay titingnan po natin kung ano po yung violation na nire-report. So for example po, pagbigay po ako ng madaling example po. Pag sinabi po nung creator na patay na po yung isang kandidato, so pag sinabi po niya patay na po si candidate X, yun po, madali pong ma-review po ng YouTube team yon dahil kailangan lang po nilang i-verify kung buhay pa ba si candidate X. Kung buhay pa si candidate X, automatic po yung content na yon ay violative of election misinformation. So meron pong mga ganong bagay. Or pag sinabi po, another example po, pag sinabi po na ang election ay sa Mayo 1, yun po ay malinaw na violation ng election misinformation policies kasi po ang election po natin ay sa May 12, di ba? So, yung pag-review po, meron pong team na nagre-review po ng content. Meron pong mga bagay na madaling i-review, meron pong mga bagay na medyo mas komplikado pong i-review. Titingnan po yung konteksto. So, importante po, for example, yung sinasabi po yung tungkol sa pagmumura. Meron po kasing pagmumura na kunyari po nasa isang music video. Sa mga polisiya po, malinaw po na pwede po, medyo meron pong leeway pagdating po sa mga artistic music video, for example. So, kung dun sa music video may nagmumura, may nag-report, baka po yung finding po doon, either i-allow siya, hindi po siya violative, or kung talagang medyo, medyo sumusobra naman po, pwede po either ma-remove nga po yung video, or pwede rin po siyang ma-age gate. Meron din po kasi tinatawag na age gating. So pag hindi po batay sa minor de edad yung video, pwede rin po nating i-age gate yung video para 18 and above lang po yung makakapanood po nun, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, sa review team ng YouTube, sino-sino ang mga nandun? Without mentioning names for now, ilang tao ang nandyan? Tapos sila ba ay mga Pilipino o meron ding mga foreigners na nasa review team?
Mr. Chair, so libo-libo po. Yung team po na yan ay tinatawag na Trust and Safety. So lahat po ng mga platforms meron po yan Trust and Safety teams. At kadalasan po yung mga Trust and Safety teams nakakalat po yan sa buong mundo kasi po 24/7 po ang magre-review, di ba? So, hindi porke nag-report ka ng gabi, walang magre-review kasi po nakakalat po ang trust and safety sa buong mundo po yan. So, kung tatanungin niyo po ako kung meron po bang Pilipino, meron po siguro somewhere sa isang opisina ng YouTube na trust and safety kasi po yung trust and safety team, siguro po tens of thousands po yan of individuals all over the world who review these videos 24/7.
So Mr. Chair, ang bagit po meron tens of thousands kalat sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. Pero for example, for video na nasa YouTube na ang nag-upload ay isang Pilipino, saang particular location naka-base yung mga magre-review ng ganong particular video?
Okay. Mr. Chair, maganda po ma-explain na dahil marami po mga ibang polisiya, di ba? Meron po tayong mga teams na may expertise po dyan. So for example po, meron kang teams na ang expertise po nila yung hate speech. Meron ka pong teams na ang expertise po nila yung gambling and other illegal activities. So depende po doon sa violation na kiniklaim, makakascade po doon sa team na yon upang sila po yung mag-review dahil expertise po nila yon. So, again, hindi po siya depende sa bansa, kundi depende po doon sa topic na nire-report kung ano po yung tamang team na mag-handle po nung video nung video.
Ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair, kapag merong ganong nireport na isang video, pwedeng haluan ng mga Pilipino at hindi Pilipino ang magpapasya kung merong na-violate o wala ang ganong particular na video. Tama po ba?
Tama po.
Tapos sa tens of thousands kasi naka-designate daw sila based on particular themes or possible violations. gusto kong mas ma-concretize para mas maunawaan po ng mga kababayan natin. Sa tens of thousands, paano sila nagpo-function? Paano nila na-systematize yung kanilang gawain? Kasi hindi naman po pwede na yung isang video lang dadaan sa mata ng tens of thousands para smoothly na magawa yung trabaho. So, para lang po mas specific, yon for one particular video na ni-report, on average, ilang tao yung collectively mag-scrutinize nung ganong video?
Okay, Mr. Chair. So, nabanggit ko po may mga teams po, di ba? So, kunyari po yung report mo yung video for medical misinformation. So, meron po isang team na sila po, trabaho po nila yung mag-review nun, di ba? Kung sila po yung pwede mag-decide or pwede rin pong ma-escalate kung kunyari medyo komplikado po yung issue, pwede rin pong ma-escalate sa leadership. So, kumbaga po, may layers of may layers of escalation, may layers of decision making. Pero kung malinaw naman po, pwedeng ma-actionan na kahit isang tao lamang po. Pwede naman po yun. Hindi po siya all the time na kailangan maraming tao po nagde-decide. Nangyayari rin po minsan, kunyari po, na-escalate sa team nila, pero sa tingin po nila walang violation sa kanila, pwede rin po nilang ipasa sa kabilang team. So kunyari po, nire-review ng isang team yung content, sa kanila walang violation, pero sa tingin po nila may violation to ng advertiser-friendly guidelines, pwede po nilang i-endorse dun po sa kabilang team na nagre-review po kung yung video ay compliant po sa advertiser-friendly guidance. So meron din pong coordination na pwedeng mangyari, lalong-lalo na po kung komplikado po yung video. Kunyari kung may halong violence, may halong hate speech, may halong medical misinformation, pwede pong maraming teams ang nagre-review ng isang video na nireport po.
So, Mr. Chair, based dun sa paliwanag, merong vertical tsaka horizontal na pwedeng pag-assess ng isang video. So, kung masyadong halata naman na hindi talaga totoo yung sinabi doon, halimbawa, misleading or halatang mali talaga impormasyon regarding an election, so pwedeng isang tao, pwedeng mag-take down. Pero kung medyo balabo pa na hindi pwedeng ipabay sa isang tao, pwedeng iakyat sa isang team. Ilan po ba yan? 10 tao? 20 ka tao? 30 ka tao?
Hindi po siya sa numero, Mr. Chair. Kunyari po, kailangan pong i-escalate sa mga medyo mas leadership team po. Yung mga medyo meron pong capacity na kapag decide kung medyo komplikado po yung issue. So, hindi naman po siya aabot sa 30 katao. Ano po siya, more on a leadership team na maliit lang po, kakaunti lang po, small group lang din po.
Okay, pag ano, Mr. Chair, actually, kaya din interesado ako na nandito rin sana ang representatives ng ByteDance na namamahala ng TikTok, tsaka ang Meta in behalf of Facebook. Kasi aside sa YouTube naman, may mga instances